Kiev, it is time. From 72 players down to just 2, it all comes down to this. There is so much on the line as our Mexican Terran fights to become a StarCraft 2 champion for the first time in his career. While fighting him is the Finnish Phenom attempting his 5th WCS title. Only one player can be crowned champion. Please welcome on stage, it is SpeCial and Serral.
Grand Finals time here for the WCS Spring, and can anyone stop Serral? That's the big question here when it comes to the WCS Spring Championship, as we have Serral looking to claim his 5th circuit title. However, a man that has never been to the finals before, it is SpeCial. Not only has he never been to the finals before, but his race has never been to the finals before. SpeCial is looking to upset in this best of 7 grand final and find himself the spot for that 20,000 and becoming a champion.
Kayla is bringing the hype. I feel like your head's gonna explode here in a second.
Ah, that's right, it's time for the finals! Are you ready, Pig?
I'm excited as you are, man. If we look at the last 2 years in those grand finals of this WCS circuit, it's been 3 times Protoss versus Zerg and then 1 single Zerg versus Zerg.
Yes.
I say enough of these Protosses in the grand finals.
Enough!
It's time for Terran to rise, and it's gonna have to be through SpeCial here, who's played amazing so far this whole tournament, but he's got his biggest test ahead of him.
Talk to me,
King
Pig.
Serral.
Yeah, I mean, this is it. We're finally here. And for SpeCial, so many people, even before the tournament started, said, you know what, after his performance in GSL, after how good he's been looking on the ladder lately, SpeCial was his shoe-in for this grand finals. I was a little bit more skeptical because he hasn't been here before. He had that semi-finals curse, he smashed on through it. And now he's challenging against Serral, but Serral, I mean, he just looked monstrous in that last series against Raynor. We thought that was going to be a close series. It wasn't.
Very important, as always. It is best of 7 grand final, so there are no bans. There is only a pick order here between them. Serral has been in this situation time after time after time. It is where he is comfortable. It is where he knows exactly what he needs to do. SpeCial, having never been here, though, of course, Todd, has certainly got to have a little few jitters about it. He's going up against the Finnish Phenom himself, but SpeCial is one of the names that could potentially take it all away.
Yeah, I feel there's not going to be any nerve issues here. I mean, SpeCial's a veteran. He's been playing for so many years. He's played in the GSL very recently, yet again, found success there. So he's played already on pretty big stages. Maybe the fact that it's his first big grand finals could get to him, but I feel like this has been a long time coming. I'm going to keep repeating this, whether he wins or not. Making these grand finals, he's already made it past, a lot of expectations, and wherever he finished before in the past, but Serral just looks unstoppable in every single one of his matches.
I think one of the biggest things for me to take away from this tournament specifically here, Pig, is that we have not had an opportunity to see, wow, that is much closer than I expected here.
So I hope the games are going to be disclosed.
I hope so too. I hope we go full 4-3. But to come back to the point that I wanted to make, Pig, is that we have not seen SpeCial in TvZ throughout this tournament. It has mostly been against the Protoss that he's been combating. We had a little bit of TvT in there as well from SpeCial. Overall, a fresh matchup for him to go into against the best in the world.
And we're expecting BattleMech to be coming out, at least some of these games, from SpeCial. He's a capable player, well-versed in many styles, but we've seen him utilizing that BattleMech, often Battlecruiser openings as well. Him and TY, his practice partner, loving that style. Map 1's going to be year 0. I'm expecting Serral to counter that with Ravagers, Banelings to buy time, a couple of Infestors, but he's going to start using Swarmhost Nidus. That would be my prediction. So if we can see that for game 1, this series is going to be amazing.
All right, gentlemen, it is time. Thank you very much as we head into the grand final here for WCS Spring. Serral goes up against SpeCial, best of 7.
G'day, StarCraft fans, and welcome. I am Maynard, and with me is Roddy. What an honor and a privilege to be casting the first 2019 season WCS Grand Finale, and what a finale. It is Serral, the many-time Grand Finalist and champion, going up against a one-time Grand Finalist appearing SpeCial. Our first Terran in the WCS final. Roddy?
I know, it's about time, right? It's about time for all those Terran nerds out there. They've been waiting. They had to endure PvP after PvP, PvZs, a lot of Zergs over the last few years. And finally, we've got another non-Korean Terran in the Grand Finals of the tournament. It's going to be a good one, guys. I really hope that SpeCial can bring his A++ game, because that's what he's going to need when he goes up against the Finnish Phenom himself. It's going to be awesome. I'm really excited. Year 0 as well is going to be our first map. Hopefully that settles up for a lot of bases and maybe some proper late game units.
Some of the best TVPs played this year have been on this map, and I hope that this one is one of them, as we are getting in for game number 1, guys. The grand final has begun, and let's get into it. In the top right here of year 0, the Red Terran, the Mexican player, first time grand finalist. This is SpeCial.
Looked quite calm, looked quite relaxed, was obviously very happy with his victory before. I think he's ready, Maynard. I think he's ready to give it his absolute best. He's been waiting for it so long, and he's finally here.
I doubt very much he's nervous as well. The top left here, the overwhelming favorite, but can he do it again? This is NC Sports' Serral.
You said that Serral made a nice and feisty tweet right before entering this grand final.
Business as usual.
You know, if there are certain players, you could be like, wow, that's a bit arrogant, or, you know, like, why would you say such a thing? But nobody could ever say that about Serral, because that's kind of what it is for now by him, right? He shows up, he does his thing. And, you know, a lot of players, guys, it's really cool when you go to one of these events, because after somebody wins a big series, a quarterfinal, a semifinal, you see they're happy, they're pacing a little bit, right? They're walking around, wondering who they should talk to. And if you see Serral after winning a semifinal, he sits there, leans towards the table, takes a bite out of his apple. Like, you know, it's just actually another day at the office. None of this phases him. None of this stresses him out. Maybe deep down inside, but he's really good at hiding it, if that's the case, because he just seems so relaxed. I think most of us, Maynard, are way more stressed out for any ladder game than Serral is for a grand final game.
Yeah, I don't think he's breaking a sweat. And honestly, I don't think that Puppy is either. Juan over here in the top right, the guys mentioned it. He is a veteran. Yes, he hasn't been in a grand final, but he's been on stage, and it's another game of StarCraft for him, another series.
And it is really cool, right? I said this on the desk before that, you know, if you do finally take that first title, make it extra special. Beat the guy that nobody else is beating in those grand finals, right? He wins 4 WCS tournaments last year, wants to make it his 5th. Well, this is it, you know. If you want to give you a trophy, a little extra shine, then this is the one to win.
Serral keeping that drone safe for a little bit before grabbing that third. Reaper pressuring this natural, just getting a little bit of scouting information, maybe a Ling kill or 2 if he can, but flawless defense so far for Serral.
Yes, obviously the boys on the desk mentioned BattleMech quite a bit. Of course, you know, we're talking about those Cyclones. We're going to see a lot of them. We know that SpeCial in the past. Wow, that's fast.
This is a very TY build here. Woo. This does usually lead into BattleMech, though, with that fast third CC, lots of gas income, lots of mineral income, plenty of production.
And of course, with BattleMech, we're talking mostly about the Cyclones, but a lot of Hellions as well, and often very, well, at least a very decent count of Banshees. I don't want to say mass Banshees, because that's maybe a bit over the top, but there's a good chance we're going to see a lot of those. Serral has shown us a lot of different things in the past of how he wants to deal with it. We know that he struggled a little bit with it when Hero Marine did it against him in WCS Winter, but he also said he's been working on it, and I think he's going to be ready for it. And on top of that, Maynard, especially the games that have been played on this stage when it comes to TvZ, almost every game has been BattleMech. Like, there have been plenty of bio games in this tournament, guys, don't get me wrong. Utermo played a lot of bio against Lambo and stuff like that, but especially when they're sitting on this stage, I don't know what it is, man. It must be a Cyclone underneath that desk or something, but they're loving it, Maynard. Wow, that's a fast fusion core as well. 3cc and super fast fusion core.
This has to be range lib, right?
I think you're spot. I mean, yeah, with Battlecruiser going 3cc this fast, I mean, we have seen plenty of Battlecruiser openings as well, but this is, I would say, a reasonable map for Range Liberator, so I think you're onto something.
Yeah, possibly. Reaper getting pushed back from the middle of the map here from those Speedlings. His time on the map is kind of up now that the Speedlings are done. And they're coming down to the Terran side of the map. Serral doesn't really have a ton of information on the special side of the map here.
Yeah, it's actually interesting. Serral does have an Overlord on the left side of Special's main base, but he doesn't seem like he's even thinking about sending it in. He's like, no, I don't like to sacrifice my Overlords.
It's looking more and more like Battlecruiser here. The Special starts to bank up quite a few resources. There it is.
It's funny, right? Because he's obviously playing a super economic game, but at the same time, he's stacking up to the highest tier unit in the game. We do still see a little bit of that range lip that you mentioned, though, and especially in the later phase of the game, it could be incredibly powerful. That's kind of how Hero Marine was able to steal that one victory. A Baneling Nest already being thrown down for Serral.
Yeah, I mean, this could mean a couple things, defensive and offensive. Couple utilities options there for that Baneling tech. Hellions get spotted here, and Special's natural looks rather vulnerable, actually. Apart from the Hellions, you could actually, if you were Serral and you wanted to get aggressive, probably do a lot of damage. We're seeing nothing but drones here from Serral. Catches the Reaper, gets rid of him. The crowd is very happy about it.
They're like, first blood, finally.
First blood.
We've been waiting 5.5 minutes, okay? I must say, though, I was truly blown away by the way that Serral defended the battlecruiser opening that Time went for on King's Cove. He made it look so easy. He legitimately lost like 2 drones at a certain phase when he had to deal with 2-3 battlecruisers and multiple Hellions. The way he split up his links. It is important, though, to keep that link count alive because you want to use those links defensively. The Queens, they can take care of the battlecruiser, but you have to be sure that you have a couple of defensive Banelings to potentially deal with those Hellions or at least scare those Hellions from committing, right?
There's the BC in the main base, and Serral does not look ready for this. He's bringing in those Queens to defend against the BC. Pulls the drones back. Oh, he's reading them like a book here, bringing in those extra Queens down on the edge of that creep, pushing him back off the precipice of it here. 1 Queen goes down. That's a nice pick-off so far for the BC. Another drone. 2 drones in total.
This is already a much more successful opening with this BC than that Time had on King's Cove. He got the Queen, and it's really nice, right? Because every Queen you pick off, that means that Queen is not regenerating energy, and that means a couple of less transfusions down the road, and of course less creep tumors as well. And that is also important to keep in check when you play against Serral. And Special did not decide to do anything super crazy with his Hellions. He's like, you know what? If you're dealing with my BC with only 2 or 3 Queens, then I'll just make sure that I'll keep my Hellions at home because I know you have plenty of Hellions to defend my, or excuse me, plenty of Queens to defend my Hellions.
And we're seeing Neural Parasite here, Roddy. That's a stylish way to deal with battlecruisers. Not one of the greatest ways because you can lose infestors pretty quickly, but Neural will make sure that BC is dead. They'll take that BC, use its tactical jump, or even just send it into a Spore Crawler forest with a bunch of Queens waiting for it.
Still getting on pretty much all the upgrades as well, right? Carapace already done for Serral. Now he's working on +1 melee, he's getting +1 range attack. So Serral definitely does not seem to be in a hurry. 2 battlecruisers at this point teleporting into the main base. Not exactly sure where the Queens are. A couple of them are there near that Spore Crawler.
No
Yamato is done, by the way.
No transfusions on these 3 Queens. 2 of those Queens going to go down. It looks like Maven, Spore, and Queen here.
Yeah,
and he's back. Oh, a lot of damage on that BC. It should just survive, but it does take a lot of damage.
I actually didn't see that second Spore, but I think that's a pretty good addition. Otherwise, this could have been a little bit harder. At the same time, Special is using these Hellions in the middle of the map. Look at the production there. 13 more drones. Special actually in a very good position economically, right? Already 75 SCVs. Tries to take his fort on location. He's like, it seems like you're playing a very passive game. It seems like you're investing a lot in upgrades. Well, I'm just going to take my fort on location.
The BC's here just trying to chase down an Overseer. They unfortunately can't catch it. And Serral going to get some information. Again, like he is very, very good and like clockwork with his scouting. So he's going into the main to see what Special is doing to confirm the follow-up. He knows now 100% without a shadow of doubt that he is up against a lot of mech units, that there is a 4th base, and he needs to come up with a game plan. At the moment, he is making roaches because he has so many Hellions to deal with. And as far as the ground army goes for Serral, it's kind of thin.
But I do like the Ravagers, though. Like, I know the roaches may seem a little bit silly, but roaches are obviously going to be useful against all the other units. But don't underestimate the power of Corrosive Bow on these massive air units. Maynard, I'm not afraid to admit it, I've lost plenty of carriers against Corrosive Bow. Because once those units are neuroparasited, of course you can't control them, and that will allow Serral to land a whole bunch of those Corrosive Bows on those air units.
Seeing Burrow being researched here from Serral could potentially help out roaches and also help out drones if they're being harassed. And he wanted to go for a Ling run by, but Special actually caught it with these Hellions and pushed him back. Special on creep here. The Baneling's looking for nice connections. He kites back. Stuck on the edge there a little bit. Oh, yeah, there's the neural grab. This is what we're talking about. Those BCs aren't going anywhere. They've used their tactical jumps.
Oh, that's smart.
And they cannot go home.
But he does get one Yamato up on one of these. Actually, no, Yamato the other VC. That's pretty sick as well. At the same time, a couple of Zerglings pick up the tanks. One battlecruiser did survive that little skirmish, so you can say that's something. But obviously, it can jump away, and it can Yamato right now. Really nice catch by Serral.
And Serral starting to amass a bit of a bank here as he approaches Max with the Hive on the way as well. He's been all about the attack upgrades because that really does help you out against mech. And it's going to be needing Vipers very shortly, so that's what the Hive is for. Hellions going for a run by. They do have Blue Flame attack here, but they don't have any attack upgrades, so they're not actually that strong.
Yeah, the numbers weren't really there, right, for the Hellions. I must say, already extra star points now for SpeCial as well. Obviously, he's rich. He's going up to 5 bases at this point, so he's going to get a pretty sick economy. The Nidus network has been planted down as well.
Oh, that
from the high ground.
From the high ground! Serral, you monster! So sick. Great catch there from the finish, Zerg. Oh my god.
He hasn't made a lot of infestors yet, but the few that he did, they've already paid for themselves, Maynard. How do you land a fungal like that? Come on.
Oh man, using that terrain to the best ability here. And SpeCial's just lost a ton of his army. His presence on this side of the map, his ability to pressure back the creep and all that you want to be doing with Battleneck, it's not here anymore. He doesn't have the unit count. He's just chilling back at home. And it looks like another Neural available on this Infestor as well, but does need to be careful. There is Yamatos here.
Getting Yamato a Ravager, I think. Yes, he does in the back of that army. First, Nidus goes down near the Zelnaga Watchtower. It's going to spot these BCs, actually, and the BCs are going to see the Nidus as well, so they should be able to take care of it. 2 Spires being planted down now for Serral.
Now, SpeCial is actually just massing battlecruisers right now. That's all he's doing. And with his upgrades going, he's been just getting ship weapon upgrades and vehicle plating. So he's all about Sky Terran at the moment. He does have a ground army, but it's not what he's attending to.
You know, there was a game not too long ago that Serral played on this map against Gumio. You remember? And at one point, Serral just didn't check the side of the side of the map of Gumio for a very long time. And he kind of thought he was playing against a mix of mech units. And then suddenly it was nothing but battlecruisers. And Serral simply lacked the anti-air. The 2 Spires that he has planted down right now give me the feeling that Serral's like, all right, that happened once. I'm going to make sure that doesn't happen again. Fongo and Corrosive Bow. One battlecruiser goes down and the other one barely survives.
Tactical jumps out of there, but losing 1 BC does kind of hurt his comp here, which is basically pure battlecruiser. He's squeezing in some Cyclones and Hellions because he has to. He needs to do something to this creep spread and keep Serral not free and clear. Bunch of Locusts coming forward, but that's a lot of battlecruisers. They don't care about Locusts.
Nope, a couple of the SCVs will go down though that were underneath it, but obviously the amount of SCVs that SpeCial had, this is not that big of a deal in this phase in the game, and Serral has plenty of bases. I'd like to see those roaches from Serral on the south side maybe go behind the mineral lines, because then you can actually still harass the SCVs.
He doesn't have high sec, so you can be quite annoying. I mean, even if you did it, I'm pretty sure you can outrange it and mess with that mineral line. Borrowed roaches here.
First Corruptors are on the way. SpeCial's doing a good job in shutting down these Nidus networks, though. He keeps on fighting them. There are a couple of roaches that are going to dive on top of this Cyclone, and these Swarmos will still pop out, but the battlecruisers show up as well.
Yeah, and they're going to start cutting through these Locusts here. So yes, Serral does get a few of those mech units. The Locusts want to hit that planetary, but there's not going to be many of them left.
The thing is, though, I feel like Serral's keeping SpeCial so busy that SpeCial's not the one who's harassing, and normally SpeCial's so good in picking up drone line after drone line, and Blue Flame Hellion run-bys left, right, and center. And this reminds me a little bit of what happened to Raynor in that final game. Serral is just so aggressive that he doesn't give his opponents time to think about their aggression.
Another Nidus denial here. The main fleet of battlecruisers are SpeCial on the south side of the map. Bit of a skirmish to the north side here. Serral finding some damage and pulling back. The Infestors are here as well. That's basically the highest tech part of his army, the most important part of his army. But Corruptors are starting to hit the field. I love this double Spire upgrades here for Serral. He's not going into Greater Spire. He is just going to double upgrade a big ball of Corruptors.
One thing we have to mention, though, is that we still have a lot of Roaches, right? We still have plenty of Queens. There's quite a few Ravagers, even a couple of Lynx, Banes. The real anti-air army right now is not massive. And that battlecruiser count is starting to become very healthy. We currently have 8 battlecruisers out on the map, as a couple of these Swarmos will go down, and there's 3 more on the way. So this is kind of that phase in the game where Serral really needs a little more anti-air.
Well, that's a little bit more anti-air right there. A bunch of Spore Crawlers being made on the edge of this creep here. Serral going to start working on a bit of a Spore Crawler forest in the middle of year 0. Oh, that barracks.
Bad time to be a barracks man.
I don't know why that's so funny to me, but...
Well, because you don't have to see a barracks flying into 7 Spore Crawlers. I don't blame you for it.
Yeah. It's been a while since the last time I've seen that. Oh, these Neurals, big fungal as well. Corrosive Biles!
Oh my God.
Oh! Serral is ridiculous.
Oh my goodness. I mean, a couple of these BCs do make the short jump as well. Corruptors, is the Corruptor count high enough to take out the other ones? More corrosive balls are going to connect with a few of these BCs. I mean, it's amazing that these three are still alive actually, but SpeCial needs to max out, right? He needs to keep those super expensive units alive, and Serral is getting some juicy trades.
Nice Liberator here in the bottom left of the map is, I guess, the glass half full situation for SpeCial. He is doing damage to the economy of Serral, but Serral is definitely in the advantage right now, getting rid of some tanks. He can afford to lose some drones. It's not the biggest of deals. And like you said, the plan here for SpeCial is to get 3-3 upgrades for his big battlecruiser fleet, just like Gumiho did when he defeated Serral on this map in I Am Katowice. But it's just been a real hard trek here, a real hard journey for SpeCial to get there.
Yep, he has already lost 6 battlecruisers in this game, and that's a unit you're just not supposed to lose. You can maybe lose 1 or 2 by accident, or one of these neurals stealing one, but 6 while you're only hovering at 160, 170 supply for the majority of it. But hey, Serral's still making links, Serral's still making banelings. I absolutely do not want to make it sound like SpeCial's out of this game. It feels like Serral domination, and I think it's kind of has been, but hey, SpeCial still has a lot of battlecruisers, and he's adding in even more. And with a couple of Yamatos and maybe avoiding those neuroparasites, there is absolutely some hope here for our Mexican Terran player.
These Cyclones getting caught here. They did do their job though. They picked off a lot of those swarm hosts. Hellions coming forward to try and deal with that link count. Tries for a fungal, gets the oh my god, that's so many banelings. That planetary is toast.
It's like really wanted to get the refinery as well.
Take that refinery. Oh, lots of Yamatos here. Those trades for SpeCial actually quite good.
Yep, I mean, that was expensive. That's exactly what I mean. Serral still didn't really have the dream anti-air army. Just lost a whole bunch. A few of these banelings are still alive. Yeah, you can actually, I won't say roll them in, but there were 2 tanks on the left side, so only a few additional SCVs went down there. Hey, SpeCial really fighting back in the last minute of this game.
Yeah.
He's not been bleeding out battlecruisers anymore. Losing the PF, yeah, that stings a little bit, but that wasn't cheap for Serral either. He used a lot of banelings to get that done.
I feel like Serral's gaining ground, actually. Like, that was a lot of resources there for Serral. He does have a bank, but it's not incredible. If Serral takes a bad fight to a maxed out Terran, it's hard for him to get a big, scary second wave army.
Yep, and these BCs, I mean, it doesn't really get much better than that, right, for the Terran player. Adding a few Liberators here and there. There are still a couple of defensive tanks remaining, but Serral was the one who was up in supply, and he had a bunch of money in the bank. Suddenly, that's not really the case anymore. It's important, of course, SpeCial lives off that command center, but he does in the end. A couple of these Hellions going down. That's not the biggest of deals. The Sensitive getting picked off is nice. I don't think that this is going to be able to morph into a planetary, even though the Hellions are maybe here to save the day.
Yeah, Hellions doing a nice job here, even without any attack upgrades, still getting rid of those lings. Tanks also covering here. Serral running by lings every which way. He knows that they're not going to be great in a stand-up fight here, especially considering most of the army of SpeCial is in the air. Oh, the Infestors here sharking Roddy. They're getting close. They have the Corruptors with them as well. Serral looking like he wants to pick a fight.
And it's important that the next fight is going good for Serral, though. Like you said, he has spent most of that bank, and yeah, he got some done with it, but this is not an army that our Finnish Zerg can afford to lose. A couple of tanks are very exposed. They're left by themselves. Where are those BCs going, Manny?
I guess they're heading towards Serral's base. They want to start killing hatcheries and killing static defense. This is so risky, though. Maybe he does have tactical jump, so he can always just shoot home after killing a hatchery.
More and more BCs on their way. The Corruptor's about to show up. A couple of battlecruisers low on HP, by the way. Be very careful with it. Serral still denying expense on the other side of the map. Year Zero living up to the hype again, Maynard. What a cool game already.
Yeah, and a glorious map at a glorious TvZ for Game 1 of the Grand Final. Yamato's getting quite a few of those Corruptors, and then SpeCial just bounces back home to get rid of what remains of the ground army there for Serral.
Yeah, nothing crucial went down for the attack of Serral. He still has most of the buildings that he truly needs. But hey, Serral no longer maxed out at the moment. He's getting all the upgrades. Even his lings are super strong, right? He's got crazy upgrades on pretty much everything. Still getting those extra air upgrades as well. But SpeCial is like, you know what? As long as I get one more base up and running, I'm just going to babysit my battlecruisers properly. And if I can avoid those neuroparasites and a massive fungal and the corrosive balls, they can absolutely take care of those Corruptors.
This is something that I've only ever really seen Serral do at these big tournament matches, is he gets extra layers up to get more hit points on his command structures, these hatcheries and layers and hives. Way more hit points, so they can actually deal with a lot more damage from, say, the battle cruisers if there's a stand-up fight. Won't lose those production facilities. And here we go, just a small Roach Ravager army for Serral, being a little bit annoying. SpeCial avoiding the edge of the creep here. Losing the battlecruiser fleet means GG. There's those fungals, there's those murals. SpeCial is stuck fighting here. A lot of his units aren't actually in the battle. He turns and fights though. 3-3 upgrades on these battle cruisers. Can he actually cut through these Corruptors? It doesn't look good for SpeCial. He's losing a lot of army supply.
A couple of the infested Terrans helping out as well from underneath. There was a Sport Crawler helping out, but there are still a couple battle cruisers remaining. But SpeCial supply has plummeted. He once again lost a lot. Look at the SCVs. No, don't repair the Alien. Repair the big boy. He needs it way more.
I think they were on auto repair, Roddy. A mistake for SpeCial. His PCs get out of harm's way, but now Serral has got free reign of this planetary if he wants to caustic spray it.
Yeah, but now Serral is once again investing in a couple of those other units to take care of those buildings. Obviously a phenomenal fight for Serral. I was kind of worried, I'm not gonna lie. I thought the infested count maybe wasn't really there. That we do have that ability of the Corruptors, and that damage, nobody out repairs that.
Absolutely not. You're just delaying the inevitable at that point. Ling's also trying to run by here. Serral always hitting in several places at once. And SpeCial, once again, just trying to get as many upgraded air units as he can, but he can't really do it anymore. He doesn't have the minerals.
Nope, still has plenty of command centers and orbitals scattered around the map, but you're right. I mean, the BCs are so expensive. It's not a unit where you can simply, it's like, oh, okay, I'm maxed out. I should have a bank for 6 or 7 more. No, you just don't have that. You simply do not have that. And Serral has done a really good job that despite the fact he never feels that rich, he's always close to maxed out. And then whenever he loses a couple of units, he does have the money again to replace those units.
Oh. It just feels like the Terran has to be so passive here and just try and take good trades wherever he can. That's never a comfortable situation. He wants to be out there on the map, picking off hatcheries, doing damage, Hellion run-bys, that sort of thing. There are a lot of vulnerable bases, but Serral is always on top of the army here for SpeCial. Gets a fungal on the Hellions as well. Pushes him way back. Forces another command center, which SpeCial desperately needs to be mining here for him. He's got to get that BC fleet up. It's just dead.
Yeah, it's either the Roaches or the Corruptors,
yeah,
right?
Choose your death.
Yep. There's a couple of Lings really working on that one orbital that's now burning down as well. Would be awesome if SpeCial could maybe repair it. SpeCial still got an army, guys. I know it doesn't look pretty, and I know it feels like Serral domination, but he still has over 100 army supply. He's got a lot of battle cruisers. The infested count is at 9. Yes, that's good, but if SpeCial can get a good engagement on those infestors, there is absolutely hope for SpeCial to take a convincing victory in a big battle, but he needs Serral to mess up.
He might get one infested here with a lock on the Cyclone. That's nice. Does get a fungal there on the Cyclones. That fungal not as consequential as the earlier ones. Here he comes. This might be the last fight in the game. More Neurals, more Corruptors, more fungals, and SpeCial has to tap out. Serral gets game number 1 in the grand final.
Even when the supplies look low, the fights were so convincing for Serral. And I must say, if you think back of that game that Serral had against Gumiho, where he was kind of an autopilot, right? He was preparing for the wrong army, was maybe worried about a bunch of Thors. He had a whole bunch of Vipers. He had so many ground units, way more. Simply did not have an answer against the BCs. This time it felt that Serral was so much more on top of it. And he's like, yeah, that loss happened, and I've learned from it. He really does sometimes feel like an anime character, doesn't he? It's like, once he loses to something, he just soaks it up, and he's like, one time, and one time only.
Yeah, he just keeps getting better and better, leveling up more and more every time we see him. And SpeCial needs to keep up. He's earned himself a grand final spot, and I'm sure he wants to show everyone that he deserves it, that he can go toe-to-toe with the best player in the world.
Let's not forget that there were, of course, a couple of unfortunate moments in the early and middle stages of that game. I mean, that one infestor, it's like, oh, I heard the NBA finals are going on, right? Like, let me show you Steph Curry, the infestor, okay? From the high ground, perfect fungal. I mean, it's beautiful. But those things are things that SpeCial can avoid as well, right? If in the next few games, those situations may not occur, he may be a little bit more careful, and then there is a good chance that he gets more value out of the Hellions and out of the Cyclones.
Next map's going to be Kairos Junction here, so a bit of a smaller map, a few different strategies. I mean, everything's smaller than Year Zero, but even relative to the other maps, a bit smaller.
Think we're going to see some bio coming out of SpeCial here?
I just don't know. I hope so. I think that his Marine tank is some of the best control you'll see outside of Korea, and even in Korea, because that's where he practices and plays most of the time. But it just seems like Battle Mech's just so popular, and he really is sort of running with the trend of it.
It absolutely is, but maybe this is indeed one of those maps where we do have some of the sweet spots for the tanks, right? We have a couple of really good pushes, and we did see Time apply a lot of pressure with his bio openings against Serral, even on Year Zero. And hey, if he can make Serral sweat on Year Zero, if you would do a similar build with similar execution on a much smaller map like Kairos Junction, there is a good chance that maybe SpeCial gets a point on the board.
A good chance indeed. Guys, in the top left here at Kairos Junction, the Mexican Terran in the red. This is SpeCial.
The audience here showing a lot of love and support for SpeCial as well. They want Terran, Maynard.
And they also love this guy. Tons of cheers. This is NC Sports' Serral.
Really, really curious about mostly SpeCial in this game. I think what we know we can expect from Serral, right? We know that he loves the links, and he's going to try to be on point of everything, sending the overlords around in awkward angles here, wants to make sure he doesn't get proxied, because we know that the win rate of 2 and 3 Rexes in most tournaments is pretty damn high. Serral is aware of that as well. He's lost a couple of games against it, so he wants to make damn sure that he doesn't get proxied here. I do believe we're going to see that at least once in his grand final, though.
I would imagine so. It's just such a strong strategy, and it's nice to try and get in your opponent's head a little bit with something like that. And we have seen Serral lose games to proxy barracks play. He is sometimes a little weak to early game pressure.
Yeah, it's so unforgiving, right? Because that's one of those moments where you have one call and one call only. You have to pull the right amount of drones. Sometimes you pull too many, you fall behind. And if you pull too few and you lose a fight against the Marines, the bunkers go up. We all know how those games end. Zerg players need that natural expand as quickly as possible. I think we'll see it at least once. We know SpeCial's not a stranger to the build, and we've seen him bring it out in big moments. And I do really love what Pick said before the finals. He's like, it does give me hope that SpeCial was willing to do that even against the Protoss. In Game 5, you know, so close to making the grand final, and he put it all on the line. And hey, history doesn't lie. When Terran players have that courage to put it all on the line, they have often been rewarded for it.
Certainly have. Pretty regular builds for both players. Not a whole lot to speak of. It's just SpeCial using the Reaper SCV combo to potentially deny this third base. If you can pick off the drone, that's really excellent as well. Could also deny the gases, but the Reaper's actually just over here on the natural, poking at the drones, poking at the links, getting scouting information.
Yep, that drone is going to be forced to morph into an extractor. The SCV tried to block it, but SpeCial was a fraction too late. I do have the feeling that when Terran players do this, they sometimes really want Zerg to be like, you know what, I'll just take the other base, and then they have a special game plan for that. And I feel like that's something you see very often. Obviously, if Serral would expand on the left side of his main base, there is a chance that maybe SpeCial has something special in store for us.
Obviously, every cancel here does cost Serral a little bit of money, but it's only a little bit. And now that the Lings are out, the third is going to go down here. So a little bit of early game scuffling that kind of went SpeCial's way. Yeah,
but Serral also not giving SpeCial perhaps what he wanted, right? He's like, you think I'm just going to take that base on the left side of my main? No, I want this base for many reasons. This is what I'm comfortable with. It's what I practice the majority of the time. And even if it hits a little bit later, it is what it is, right? SpeCial still has that SCV on the other side of the map as well. That's an SCV that could have been mining. So even though what SpeCial did there, it achieved something, it also slows SpeCial down a little bit.
Yeah, not so easy to manipulate Serral. And we're going to have a Liberator opening here with Hellion, so a pretty aggressive, multi-pronged strategy here from SpeCial in the early stages. Going to try and do damage with the Hellions on the drone line. Obviously, that's the goal with the Hellions and with the Reaper. Don't want to lose any of those.
That's a fast lair, by the way, Maynard.
Quite a bit. Yeah,
that is a cheeky fast lair coming out of Serral here. And then this is going to be a stim opening, so this Overlord is going to scout this. This is an awesome scout, of course, here for Serral. Sees the starport as well. In the previous game, SpeCial was very careful with his Hellions, right? He was very cautious. He's like, no, I'll just harass a little bit with the battlecruiser. I'll pick off a couple of creep tumors, and that is going to be it. I wonder if Serral's counting on that over here.
Well, he's scouting. Ling nearly gets in the main, but his Overlord did see Stim. Actually, SpeCial is canceling Stim here.
Nidus, oh, but that could actually become very painful, right? Because if this is going to be a Nidus, Ling, Bane, Queen, he needs as many units as possible, and even getting Stim maybe would have been hard, but there are those moments where you barely defend and then Stim finishes up and you put yourself in a great position. SpeCial goes up to 3 bases. I don't think SpeCial has any idea that this is happening right now.
I don't think so at all. He's sort of got his own game plan going here, not really reacting to what he's seen from Serral, or indeed it would seem a little risky. Comes forward with that Reaper, would love to juggle the Queen around and get to that drone line again, but just too many Zerg units, too much creep. Just finding another angle here. Oh, that Liberator. One drone kill does at least survive, but takes a lot of damage.
Just more and more drones for now coming out of Serral, so maybe just want to get very quick Baneling speed. I mean, we saw a Hero Marine against Raynor as well on Port Alexander, where he went for a very unorthodox, like it was like 6 minutes and 30-second Nidus pretty much. This is kind of a middle down the road, so you can never really eliminate the option. But for now, it seems like Serral's playing a normal game and just wanted to get a very quick lair against maybe what he still expected to be Battle Mech, but he scouted Kim, and that's the tricky part.
With double armory, it actually probably isn't Battle Mech. I think this might actually be regular vanilla mech.
Yeah.
Because if it's Battle Mech, generally it's just one armory with the armor upgrades, not the attack upgrades. But there is a fast third CC in the main of Special. Soon to go out onto location. I love this spread of queens here for Serral. It's making sure every single opening is covered by the Zerg.
Double Evo, and I'm really curious about the upgrades of Serral, right? And I mean, Serral does send, I believe, now an Overseer into the main base. And guys, this is a very, very important scout, because this is finally going to give Serral the confirmation of perhaps what...
Oh, he still didn't see it.
No, he sent it back?
Yeah.
He was afraid of the Liberator?
I guess. Liberator anti-air, you can never be
The
afraid
funny
of that.
thing is that he does see an army move out, right? He sees a couple of Marines and he sees 2 tanks, but I think Serral should kind of figure out that, hey, something is weird here, right? You know,
well,
like if you really did want
to,
if you did really want to make a big Stim Marine push, you would have more Marines by now.
These Liberators coming out here for Special. That's no Spore Crawler down here in the natural, and both Liberators going to siege up here. This is very annoying for Serral.
Yep, that one Liberator is going to siege up on top of the Queen, and the other one is still alive. The Queen is probably not going to win that fight.
Oops.
The top Liberator does go down, but the one in the natural won the battle against the Queen for now. Serral has a lot of Zerglings on the other side of the map. We do have Macvild Accelerator being researched, by the way, and a couple of Cyclones and Hellions on the way. This Ling run-by is doing damage, and Special's army is just in the middle of the map and didn't really commit to anything.
Yeah, it kind of just walked out, sat there, and now it's coming home. And unfortunately, that left an opening there for the third, doing a bunch of SCV damage.
A lot of mind games being used here, I feel,
Yeah.
back and forth.
Well, we've got that 4th hatchery going down to the north here for Serral as much as he intended to. Infestation Pit quite fast as well, just after 7 minutes.
All right, now the Overseer does go all the way in. It's going to see that Cyclone. It's going to spot that there are 3 factories and 2 more being built at this point. So Serral's going to have a pretty good idea of what's going on. I mean, all the links that Serral has, they're not going to be that good against the amount of Hellions and Blue Flame currently being researched. That is a ridiculous amount of links. He did get some damage done with them already, but I'm sure that he would have loved to have a few less against what Special is doing at the moment.
Yeah, it did really. It just, with the army composition, it seems like Serral expected Bio here, like for a very, very long time.
But hey, there's still always a possibility for Lynx and Banks to get some damage, but you do want to get some damage done. 10 more drones being fired up immediately. He did start the Roach Warren immediately as well after he got the big scout in the main base. But Serral probably not super happy with how this was going. Maynard, this is shaping up to be a very interesting game. Look at all these Hellions. There are speed Banes though, so you got to be careful. Of course, Hellions always have the potential to out-micro the Lynx and the Banes, but you have to be careful. You don't want to get surrounded.
Yeah, and he does be careful of those Rainer flanks. Taking all those Banelings, getting surrounded by the Lynx. Hellions coming on forward here. That is a lot of Hellions. That's big enough flanks!
Oh my
goodness! Got him! What a flank from Serral. Pretty devastating damage to the army there of Special. You know, a bit off more than he could chew at that point.
Serral just finds the window of opportunity to still get value out of those units. A lot of Zerg players would be like, I've got like 60 plus Zerglings and all these Banes against this many Hellions. And Serral finds a moment for it. These Queens, however, may not getting caught out in the open. They do have plenty of energy, so they can keep each other alive for a little bit, and that is exactly what Serral does. Serral tries to scare that army away as well with his Lynx, but you got to be so careful as a Zerg player. You can't just run in to too many Blue Flame Hellions unless you're damn sure that you get a surround.
I like these upgrades coming down for Special. These Ground Army is actually going to be quite powerful soon. This double armory churning away. And Serral gearing up for a bit of a run-by here to the south of the natural.
And I think that Special saw it because he had a Hellion there, by the way. He had a Hellion on patrol, but I'm not sure if he was paying attention because he's got a bunch of units in his natural Special, that is, while he's still harassing with Liberators. But those tanks that are in the natural Special are not sieged up. There are a couple of Banelings as well, but nothing is sieged here, Maynard.
Now the Bailey's going to go bust through those depots, but I don't think Serral can commit with those Lings. Everything is unsieged, actually has a lot of DPS, and there's Hellions here as well. Does lose some depots, but he's not supply block, can still produce. And with these tanks, Serral cannot get too far deeper. These Liberators are putting in a lot of hurt here, killing some lava, being very, very annoying.
We've got a very cute Marine counter as well.
What's up?
So guys, we were produced once upon a time. We were supposed to get Stim, or at least that was the initial plan. It went wrong, but here we are. We're going to take down a couple of drones, and maybe these fine. Hey, that's something, Maynard.
Yeah, it certainly is. Could you
9
imagine being the
Swarmos.
Marine, getting that order from your commander? You're just like, hey, E6, 4th hatchery, go.
Yep. Right top side of the map, you know, there's plenty of action. Nobody should see you guys coming. And it's like, well, it was true at first, but just didn't really have the firepower. Swarmo's on the way now, +2 melee being researched as well. So Serral's still feeling the love for his Zerglings and his Banes.
That could help out the Broodlings later if we get to the Greatest Spire point. The Hellions end up winning the battle there in the end.
Not feel like it. Special, of course, is already mining off 4 bases. as he's mining off that kind of interesting forward fort, right, that he took in the middle of the map. Could be dicey against Swarmos, but we'll see how it all plays out. There are a couple of Swarmos coming in from the right side. These tanks, Maynard, they need to be protected.
Yeah, they are pretty vulnerable here. The Hellions need to get on top of them. He unsieges the tank so he can turn and fight against the Locust. He does go and turns and A-moves, gets out of corrosive pile range, and that ended up being pretty good for Special. Nicely done.
It really did, and then you look at the supplies, like Serral's still maxed out. Now, obviously, that does mean he's not able to use his Swarmos, but did you see that? He didn't use all of them. He only spiked a couple, so there are still a few Locusts available as well. I really wonder about this base that Special took. Like, I mean, yes, it is well protected by now because he kind of wants to rally his units there, but it's also going to make things a little bit dicey if that Swarmos count goes higher and higher. Burrow being researched as well.
I like the Burrow idea. Bunch of Liberators just running through the Zerg army here, or at least being shown off to Serral. The Locusts start to hit the supply depots. They really want the tanks, though. That's the target.
And they should be able to get these two tanks quite quickly. Well, actually, no. Blue Flame Hellion saved the day. Good job there by Special, keeping both tanks alive. But now there are a couple of Banelings. This is a hard call for Serral to make there. You know what I'm most happy about? Well, a few more Locusts do show up, and they'll finish what the other Locusts started. A lot of SCVs are going to go down as well. Special's out on the map. You know, man, I just want to say I love the Sensor Tower, but it's obviously way more important that Serral keeps his units, Special alive in the middle of the map. And he just ate a couple of corrosive vials to the face.
Certainly did. Trades all over the place. Special losing a lot of SCVs, but he's not out of it yet. Still has a decent bit of gas income. That's the part for the mech player that matters the most. As long as those gases are saturated, you can always mule the rest. We do have a scuffle here, which is way too much Terran. Special holding the line here on the front for Serral. Serral needs to consolidate his forces. He's actually bringing the Locust back as well to hit that siege tank line. Special pulls back. Serral coming in from all angles. The Liberators helping out a little bit in the sky against the Locusts. I don't know if the Queens want to try and push too deep here. The Cyclones are kiting.
Probably not off 3, but I think so far so good for Serral. But I'm definitely with you on the statement that they shouldn't want to chase, because that's where the Cyclones shine as well. Locusts are still being annoying. A few more SCVs could very well go down. 61 is still a healthy number, but you don't really want to drop into the 40s.
This Locust harassment at the third base, really annoying for Special, and that CC getting lower and lower each time as well. Scuffling again with the Queens and the Ravagers here on the front lines of the creep for Serral. And he looks like he wants his Lings to be active again. These Liberators are basically just being anti-Locust countermeasures. They're not being used to siege up. They're using their anti-air splash damage to try and cut through the Locust count. I like the idea, but it hasn't really been that effective for Special yet.
There's a great Aspire on the way during all of this. You know, it's really funny because units lost resources-wise is very even across the board. It really is not a big difference. Obviously, there's a few more SCVs that have gone down, but not even that number is that crazy. It's only 35. And yet, Serral always feels like the one who's maxed out. It just seems so hard for Special to really make this army work. And in general, Maynard, this is an army that's kind of on the clock. Once those Broodlords show up, you're not going to have a good time with your tanks and Hellions.
Yeah, Special's got to know that this Hive is certainly done and dusted at this point. A little bit of Hellion run-bys here, finding some drone damage.
I'm happy to see it, though, because I think this is really important. It's just important that Special does not focus too much only on the battles and only on defending. He needs to use those little run-bys as well, because you also distract Serral, and you can maybe put yourself in a better position in the middle of the map.
I think he should be able to deal with these Locusts pretty easily here. He's in position. Oh, no, he's pulling his army back. And there goes the Liberators doing that splash damage to the Locusts.
So that's very nice. Still, maybe one Cyclone went down, I believe, there, but obviously the Planetary will stay safe. That Sensor Tower is such a great addition because Serral was loving it to just go behind it and maybe go for run-bys into the natural as well, but that Sensor Tower makes it so much harder.
Well, it's Broodlord o'clock. We got ourselves a Broodlord on the way, and it's time to get Thors out for Special. But is he thinking about it? Is he thinking about Broods, or is he thinking about the problem at hand?
I mean, Cyclones, obviously, if they are able to lock on, oh, these depots are not ready. Good reaction time, though, there by Special, but that Orbital is starting to run very low on HP. You want to be careful. He wants to go forward. The Queens are not here at the moment. He does lock on a couple of these Ravagers. Special knows that it's Broodlord o'clock, and he wants to get some serious work done before those Broods show up.
We got a Hellbat here soloing the Zerg army, or at least trying to. This siege position is very, very powerful for Special. Broodlords aren't too far away to try and push it back. Swarmhost also looking for that planetary there on the front line for Special, but he gets a hatchery kill. Terran doing damage. The Zerg going to counter damage though. That planetary could potentially just go down. It's a lot of Locusts.
A couple of Hellions are here to sort of save the day, and a few tanks will show up as well. Liberators can potentially help out. So that was good, but that was just a single hatchery, right? I do think that SpeCial needs more. There is your first store, though, Maynard. You asked for it, and it is on the way. But it's safe to say that he's going to need more than one store.
I see your Thor, but can I get 3 or 4 more? Because it's going to need that to be able to deal with the Broodlords here of Serral.
This is nice.
Nice catch on a Swarm Host.
Yep. I mean, he's doing quite a bit of damage on them. A few went down already. The Broodlords are so slow, and they were all the way on the top side of the map. So SpeCial may not just get one base, he may get a second one. And if you put that save towards the south side, he's able to get that one as well. SpeCial.
The Swarm Hosts are dying. These plus three attack tanks annihilating this hatchery, and then he nopes out of there before the Broodlords arrive. Great plays from the Terran.
Yep, really good job avoiding those Broodlords. Yes, Broodlords are powerful. All the Swarmos went down as well. Serral actually being distracted a little bit. Maybe too much happening at this point for him right now, trying to babysit those slow Broodlords. But SpeCial just got a couple of amazing victories for himself.
He's got some Vikings here, but this air army of the Zerg is way too powerful. Those Vikings aren't going to do much at all. The Planetary is getting hit by the Broods. It's a matter of time for that Planetary to go down. The big engagement on the front line. Bailey's actually getting rid of a lot of the mech units there. Really good engagement for Serral so far. SpeCial overextending.
And this is not even his main army, Maynard. This is not Serral's main army. The Broodlords are the main army. The Corruptors are going to show up from the north side now. They will help out a little bit as well. And every Liberator he takes down, after taking care of that base, you look at the bank of SpeCial. He put up one hell of a fight, and he got some momentum going there, but I mean, he feels quite broke. And you look on the right top side, Serral lost that base, but he already took it again. And during all of this, he also took the right top side.
I don't think Serral's lost any Broods yet in this game. He's just been transfusing them, keeping them alive. The Corruptors are also keeping him up in this game and keeping that pressure on, making more Broods. And Serral just bleeds SpeCial out. Death by 1,000 cuts in that game. And he is on 2 map wins to 0.
And he looked good. SpeCial is making him work for it. SpeCial is absolutely making him sweat a little bit there as well. I really love what SpeCial did there in the end when he was avoiding those Brutes, but it's once again kind of the story of Serral is the one finding the economic damage. Serral is the one sniping a base here and there, picking off workers left and right. Juanito does his best, but that first Hellion run by, when you said like, hey, it's finally nice to see some Hellions. I mean, that's like 16, 17 minutes into the game almost, or 15, whatever it was. It was very late, and up to that point, I kept a close eye on it. He only managed to kill 3 drones in the entire game. And I feel like that's just not enough. If you want to hurt Serral, you start at the beginning, and that's by killing his drones.
Yeah, getting into those mineral lines. I mean, Blue Flame Hellions, they can be dealt with by spine crawlers, and you know, obviously Serral's very, very good with his map awareness and always having lots and lots of creeps, so that makes it harder as well. But you got to keep trying, of course. Like with your Hellions, you do need to slow down the Zerg. You leave the Zerg alone, you're asking for trouble.
I would almost say, even in the beginning of the game, as risky as it is, that the creep maybe gets out of control, but I'd love to see a little more YOLO play, as some of the Terrans like to say, and just send in those Hellions and try to do crippling amounts of damage. Maybe get your Hellions in a good spot so you can fry some of these Zerglings as well. Let's not forget that this was a weird game as well, right? It started off with a lot of mind games. Stim was being researched, Stim was cancelled, decided to go into mech, made a little move out. If it wasn't for that big Ling Bane surround, because at one phase it's like 14, 16 Blue Flame Hellions and Cyclone against Ling Bane, you're like, kind of like this for SpeCial. So I was like, kind of like it for me. And he sets up the Bane Ling surround, comes in from the north side. It's similar to that Fongo. I feel like those are game-changing moments that just change all the tempo and momentum.
It's been so many huge plays. And this guy in the top left, yet to get a point on the board, but I believe the Red Terran from Mexico. This is SpeCial.
The crowd here still behind him. And obviously he's giving us good games. He's giving us entertainment. But can he make him bleed, Maynard?
Well, he's going to have to try and kill this monster. It is NC Sports' Serral.
Curious to see what Serral's going to do this game as well, because I was a little bit surprised by that much faster lair that he went for on Kairos compared to what he did on year 0. But in the end, it all worked out. Just invested a bunch in the upgrades. Still got a very good economy going. SpeCial, are you going to commit to the bio this time? I mean, Port Alexander is a rough map to play bio as well, though, right? Like, yes, we did see Time take this map of Serral, but that was off the back of Serral kind of failing a Nidus attack. He went for that Ling Queen Nidus, only a couple of Queens came out, and it just didn't work out, and then eventually Time found himself in an awesome position and played a fantastic game, got a couple of really good spots for his tanks. I mean, that's kind of what you need to do, right? You just need to catch a break, hope that Serral messes up, and then be damn sure to capitalize on the first mistakes that he makes.
Hoping Serral messes up seems like a bad insurance policy.
It is. It's, I mean, once in a blue moon, right? It should happen, shouldn't it, Maynard?
He did make mistakes against Time for sure. It's part of the reason why Time managed to get that map win. SpeCial is, in a lot of people's opinions, and hard to argue, a much stronger Terran than Time as well. So he's been going toe-to-toe with the greatest Zerg in the whole world for 2 games in a row. And these 2 games aren't just one-sided whitewashes either. Like, SpeCial is fighting tooth and nail for a lot of these games. It's just like Roddy mentioned, there's a huge play every now and then with an amazing fungal, a great flank, a great catch for Serral. And this kid, when he takes an advantage, he doesn't lose it.
Yeah, it is really a bit sad that it feels perhaps like domination and it feels one-sided, but these games are actually close, guys, because Serral is not sitting on 4K or something while he's making these sick plays. Like, in a way, Serral's also playing a dangerous game. You could say he's playing with fire a little bit because he needs to be damn sure that he doesn't lose one of those fights, because he also doesn't have the money to replace those expensive units like Infestors or those Ravagers when he truly needs them, or the right amount of Banelings. But yeah, so far Serral is doing just that. He's making damn sure that he wins the crucial fights and he gets some big plays in the middle of the game.
Damn straight. Third hatchery down to the north here. Reaper getting a little bit of wraparound against those Lings. He really wants that creep tumor, but don't want to lose the Reaper. Absolutely not worth to die for that.
Do you think Serral got extra motivation seeing that there is a new trophy this time?
Well, he always wanted more trophies.
Wow, that's a Ghost Academy, Maynard?
Yeah, this is a TY special. Have you heard of Spooky Mech?
Spooky Mech.
Have you heard of it?
Talk to me, Maynard.
It happened in Leipzig 2018. SpeCial did it against Snoot. TY has done it as well internationally. You get the Ghost to snipe the Queens. Generally an Armory is with this as well to get Hellbats up. And then it can transition into mech afterwards.
Yeah, no, that build was all the hype for a while. People did it a lot on Catalyst, I remember that.
Yeah, a lot on Catalyst,
yeah. So that was really the build for it. I didn't know they called it Spooky Mech. That's
Nathanius. We'll give credit Nathanius for that one. Oh, the Ling in the main base. Are you kidding me?
No,
this needed to not be scouted. All right, well, this actually is going to do nothing now. You need to not get it scouted. This is really bad for SpeCial.
That Zergling deserves to get out of there as well, Maynard, and deserves to retire in the corner of Port Alexander, because
he should get a percentage of the winnings if Serral wins this tournament, that Ling.
What a skull. I mean, obviously that's a bit of a blunder there by SpeCial. If you go for a build like this, you need to keep it hidden. Right now, you're basically giving Serral a massive heads up to get ready for it. It's funny you mentioned the Leipzig tournament, because that was a tournament that Serral played against SpeCial as well, and he made him also work for it very hard. A couple of really epic games I remember back then, but that was of course the start of the year of Serral, so Serral did end up winning that series. But that's perhaps where a little bit of this rivalry started.
Now the idea of the Ghost here is to snipe down those Queens, and the idea of getting this many Lings for Serral is not only to fight these Hellions, but also stop the snipe of the Ghost. The Queen getting a transfusion right on the edge there, keeping her alive for now.
And now this Ghost is like, I should go back, right? It's like, I'm valuable, guys. I do cost a lot of resources.
It's like, God, I wish that wasn't scouted.
You don't want to lose me in this phase in the game, I promise. I'm worth it. I'll make up for it later. My snipes will be better and more powerful.
See you in 20 minutes.
Once I'm covered by Liberators. Well, SpeCial is going to try his luck one more time. He's still got that Reaper. More aliens showing up. Second Ghost showing up as well. Serral does have a lot of drones, by the way, but hey, he does have a lot of Queens in the right position. One Queen does fall. Obviously, Baneling speed is not done yet. So it all comes down to the micro. Can these Hellions make some magic happen? That's quite a few Queens going down,
yeah,
Maynard.
This is starting to spiral a little bit into SpeCial's favor. And he's going for a Bio follow-up, by the way, so not going to be Spooky Mech. Spooky Bio coming down for SpeCial to follow things up. So this is a different version of this build that we saw earlier. There is no Armory, no nothing like that, so no Hellbats. The Hellions and the Ghosts still doing very, very good against these Queens, but Serral has not been losing Lings or Banes.
And the fact that Serral is now already thinking about counterattacking, hoping that one of those depots is perhaps lowered. He could morph. Oh my goodness, that's so many Lings. That's a lot of Queens as well now for Serral. Where is he morphing all of those Banes? Is he morphing anything on the other side of the map? Yes, he is. He wants to roll into that natural, Maynard, and see if he can find himself a couple SCVs.
Is there any Hellions at home? Because if there's not, this
oh my God,
is
he's
going
floating
to be
over the command center.
Oh no.
He doesn't even need to use the Banes on the depots right now. I'm not sure if Serral's paying attention. He is paying attention. He's like, oh, how nice. I'm welcome. Here we go.
Don't mind if I do. In he comes with those Banelings looking for those SCVs.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, the Hellions do come home. He's keeping the SCVs alive, but he's still lost 7.
That could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, that was nearly game over right there.
I love how I was trying to hide 1 or 2 links as well. All of those SCVs are 1 or 2 hits away from dying. I mean, you look at it, the tab that selects the units, and it looks dicey. That's a lot of red
It's
there.
like Christmas. It's red and green all over the place. Damn.
But I don't think SpeCial is really in the Christmas mood at this time of the year. So, but SpeCial, Serral obviously is still quite okay with that. That wasn't a massive investment. That's like, let's try and see what happens. Still got himself 7 SCVs. Serral, SpeCial obviously making damn sure that he's keeping them safe for now. It's just that if you right now would select SpeCial's vision, it just looks grim, right? This is not where you want to be. He's kind of in the dark. He doesn't really know what's happening. He's going to try to take some of that map control back with these Hellions, but I don't think he saw those Banelings, Maynard.
I don't think so either.
Oh.
Yeah, he's stuck on his side of the battle. SpeCial's like, oh, I got to do something. I need to go across the map. So he does send some units over there. Serral are going to use this opportunity to try and Baneling hit those third base mineral lines. Nice snipes from the Ghosts, getting rid of a couple Queens. It's always great. But these Ghosts don't have cloak. They can't save themselves. The Marines, though, body blocking.
Yeah, that fourth base could actually be in a little bit of trouble.
Good reaction.
Good reaction indeed by SpeCial. Serral's in a little bit of trouble here. He doesn't have Baneling speed yet. It's almost done. I mean, the bio numbers are not overwhelming, but there is a tank, there is a Ghost, and a couple of the Queens did go down. I love he's just waiting. He's like, oh, they'll come back, right?
Biding his time. Waiting for a nice big SCV transfer.
Still a couple of Marines do go down eventually. Obviously well done there by SpeCial, but he would have loved to do more there near the fourth base. But at the same time, he's like, I can't afford to lose his army. SpeCial doesn't really know what we know. He doesn't know how many Banelings are out there, and he decides to retreat. But it obviously means that Serral's economy, once again, Maynard, 8 minutes into this game, has gone completely untouched. Not a single drone has gone down yet. 5 Queens did go down, so that's way more than in the previous games, but no drones.
And getting those 5 Queens, you would think, would slow down the creep spread, but the creep spread of Serral is also still pretty good, pretty active. SpeCial has these upgrade advantage. 1-1 is on the way for Serral, but it's not here. Oh, Serral's gearing up for a flank. He's got links on the high ground, and he lifts up the medevacs to save as much as he can, and I think it's the best case scenario there for SpeCial.
Yeah, does end up losing one of his goals there. Obviously, losing out of the bio would have been a lot worse, but once again, these are pushes with an upgraded advantage. Like Indy was doing obviously a phenomenal job throughout this entire weekend, was trying to show us as well. That's kind of where you want to capitalize on it. Like, is this a little window for me? Well, let's try. I've got 1-1, you've got 0-0. Serral's like, no, it's not.
2-2 immediately here for SpeCial. These Queens, where you going? Wrong part of town, sister.
Well, that's the 7th Queen now that has gone down, number 6 and 7. Serral is going up to Hive during all of this. Picks off, I think, a heli in there as well on the south side. Denying vision, just keeping SpeCial in the dark. There is no sensor tower yet, so SpeCial doesn't really know where those forces of Serral are.
So many Marines here. He feels confident to push that Lingbane Hydra army back. SpeCial's Marine patrolling on the outside to make sure he does not get flanked, because Serral loves these run-bys. Very similar to Raynor in that respect, where he seems to always have a bowl of Lings just watching and waiting for that chance to hit the economy of the Terran.
I love Serral just sending only 3 Zerglings. He's like, don't worry, that's all I got. I don't think SpeCial really believes in that. He's going to send a lot more. There is a drop now unloading near that potential 5th base of Serral. Instead, it's going to go to the main. Let's see if SpeCial can finally find himself the first drone kill of the game, because this really is becoming a problem, Maynard. At least he got a lot of Queens this game, that's awesome. But you want to get drones against Zerg.
Certainly do. Speaking of which, this drop tried to get some, but didn't find any. Got picked up there. Oh, SpeCial trying to get away from these Banelings, but they get the Marines.
Well, plenty of reinforcements here, at least for SpeCial, so the net will stay safe. There we go. A couple drones do go down. This drop finally finding a tiny bit of economic damage. He's going for drilling claws, by the way, off the back of this. But, you know, normally you don't see drilling claws being researched while Vipers are on the production tab, right?
I think he's concerned about just the sheer amount of Lingbane that he's been dealing with. You know, he doesn't have a whole lot of splash damage. Tanks are pretty good against Lingbane Hydra, obviously, but with this many Lingbane, like the amount of Lingbane versus Hydra here, he feels like Widowmine's just going to be a little bit more powerful. Oh, this bio getting stuck a little bit here. Needs to pull back. Needs to split a little bit.
Are very exposed as well, so a couple of the tanks do go down, but hey, SpeCial does keep a lot of his Marines alive.
He trades
so
right, yeah.
That's something that he can work with. His 2-2 upgrades are about to finish up as well. He's got a drop in the back of the main base, but Serral has a couple of Banelings. He's got more Banelings on the left top side.
He does, and he gets a bunch of Marines. The Marauders do face tank a bit there, keeps the SCVs alive. Medevac starting to return home. He's kiting on creep. Not that much bio, so the tanks are a little vulnerable.
Sweet position there, though, for the tanks.
It's very
well
nice.
done. He's stimming this army quite a bit. These Medevacs are working overtime at this point. Upgrades finish up, but they are ready for Serral as well. Here are the Vipers already. Tanks are in a nice position. Well, not anymore. Let me change that position.
He pulls him down on the low ground. Gets a blinding cloud on the 2 tanks on the high ground as well. SpeCial unsieges to try and save them in the medevacs. The Hydra's looking to pick them off on the way through as well.
A couple of medevacs do go down on that retreating path. One more tank goes down. Baneling's rolling forward, and I don't think that this fort base is going to see the light of day. That should be a very easy cancel for Serral, and he does get it. Chitinous plating being researched now, while SpeCial is just working with Marines and Marauders. A couple of tanks here and there, and yes, he is getting drilling claws, but I don't know if Widowmines is really going to be your sweet dream against the Ultras.
No, certainly not. It's just versus Ling Bane and potentially A units, but we are seeing Kaitas come down here. A good number of Marauders and a good number of tanks can actually deal with Ultras now, but it is still dicey. It is still absolutely Serral's advantage at the moment in this game.
Serral feeling obviously good, like you said. There is still creep, despite the fact that 7 queens did go down in this game. Serral still managing to get some of that crucial creep. These medevacs do get abducted as well.
Ooh.
They will both go down. Get over here is what Serral says. And oh my goodness, Maynard, I felt the first 2 games, you know, maybe it was closer, I think, than what it felt like. It was closer than what it looked like. This game, to me, does really feel like Serral domination.
Yeah. Serral starting to run away with this one. SpeCial trying to find as good trades as he possibly can. This is all off creep, but Serral doesn't care. Busts through those depots. The SCVs are next. Boom! Lots of SCVs dying right there. And a bunch more just before he ends up. And this 4th is again just under so much pressure, it's not happening.
Another fort base is going to go down here. That's not even a cancel this time. Don't forget about the Vipers. GG. Serral takes a 3-0 lead here in the grand finals of WCS Spring. And if he looked good in Game 1 and Game 2, he looked phenomenal in Game 3.
Normally you're meant to slow down when you play this many games, but Serral just seems to get better and better each game, which spells a little bit of concern for SpeCial fans out there as he is on his last life. Serral already on match point here in this grand final.
Last year, Serral was able to win 4 out of 4 WCS circuit events, but none of those were flawless victories in the final. He dropped maps against Showtime in Leipzig, he dropped maps against Mana in Austin.
And even Haas.
Dropped map against Haas in Valencia, indeed. Well, just won a single one, but even those games, they were very close as well, and he did at least face defeat once. And of course, we all remember the final of Montreal where he dropped 3 of them. So far, Maynard, he's like, none of that.
Well, before we get into our next map, we're going to take a short break. Guys, don't go away. You are watching the grand final of WCS Spring. We'll see you soon. All right, guys, welcome back. A short break there. Getting ourselves to collect ourselves, get all you guys out there to collect yourselves. Hopefully Juanito collects himself a little bit as well, clears his head, and see if he can get another build out of that bag of tricks, because he is against the ropes in this final, Roddy.
We are looking at each other in this break, and I feel like you were thinking what I was thinking. Do you 2 Rex, 3 Rex right now? I think you do, Maynard. I think you do. No Terran ever wants to go down in the final with at least trying to proxy once. We know that Serral has faced plenty of defeats when he went up against that build. The only minor issue that I have here is that it's Automaton, and that is a very big map, right? Like, it takes a little while for your SCVs to make it to the other side of the map. On the other hand, you could say there are multiple positions where you could build those barracks. So, I don't know. We don't see it super often on this map. I'd like to see it. Why not? Throw curveball. Anything to stop the momentum that the Finnish Phenom has going right now.
All right, here we go. SpeCial. He's not sending any SCVs out, Roddy.
You've never sounded so sad to not see a 2 Rex.
I want to see a 3 Rex. I mean, he's going to be sitting in his hotel room tonight. If he does get 4-0, to be sitting there going, what if? But hey, let's get into it, guys. We are in game number 4. On the far left here, an incredible performance so far. If he 4-0s, he will absolutely deserve this championship. It is ENCE Esports' Serral.
Some people thought he was going to slow down in 2019. And yes, he lost a couple series, but I never believed in it, Maynard. And he's showing us here, yes, he was angry after losing Winter.
I never believed in it either. On the far right, the underdog, can he fight back? This is Mexico's SpeCial.
Serral must be thinking about the 2 Rexes and the 3 Rexes as well, right? He's like, I never make it through a best of 5 or a best of 7 without people at least doing this once or twice against me, sometimes even 3 times in an entire series. The Overlords are obviously looking for it, and so far they haven't found anything, and it will stay that way because there is nothing to be seen on this side of the map.
Well, I'm trying to think of some builds that SpeCial could do that I've seen Serral lose to. I've seen Serral lose to Hellbat Banshee before, actually. Really like U-Thermal doing that against him. Yep. It's a build that's very old school, but I mean, it's the kind of builds that you're trying to catch your opponent unawares with. If you do everything that Serral expects, that's not going to go your way 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, once again, it does feel that every game has a story, right? Like, I know a lot of people probably think like, oh, this is over. But every game had a story so far. SpeCial is not playing poor, guys. In the first game, it's just a deadly fungal from the high ground that catches all of his Hellions and his Cyclones and takes away all the momentum. And even then put up a really good fight. In that second game, we had that 6 around with the Lings and the Banes, and that once again took away momentum of SpeCial and obviously made the game what it was. But SpeCial definitely didn't roll over without a fight. And in that previous game, what if, Maynard, what if that silly little Zergling doesn't run into the back of the main base, doesn't spot that Ghost economy immediately? Do we watch a different game? I do believe so.
I think so.
Would we watch a special victory? I'm not 100% sure about that, but I do believe it'd be a different game.
It would certainly have been a lot more powerful in an attack. In fact, it did more damage than I thought it would, because normally when Zerg scout that, they either get a Roach Warren or they just get a lot more Lings, and they interrupt the the steady aiming of the Ghosts, and they don't lose any Queens, and they just push it all the way back, because there's no way the Ghost is going to have Cloak or anything like that to save itself.
Well, the Reaper is making its way to the other side of the map. Would obviously be fantastic if SpeCial can find himself a drone kill here early on, just to get yourself something that you normally don't get in this phase in the game, but it's unlikely. Maybe Hellion drop into the main base?
Hellion drop seems good. I like the trajectory here of the starport for SpeCial, keeping the Reaper alive as well. I like it a lot. I think this is a great strategy if he wants to go for this Hellion drop. It's going to be as quick as possible, really, unless the starport was a little bit closer, but then you run the risk of being scouted by an Overlord. So let's see if this works out for SpeCial. Certainly hope so, because I'd love to see more maps in this series.
Serral does often, of course, put his Queens on the low ground in between that second and third base, trying to keep the natural safe. So if those Queens do stay where they are, and then those 4 Hellions do squeeze into the back of the main base of Serral, there is a chance, but it's so important that these Lings don't find that starport, because if they do, Maynard, if they do, Oh my goodness. Of course he does.
Of course he found it. Of course he found it.
Why do
I
I
don't know
even
why you
question
sat there thinking that he wasn't going to scout that starport.
I know, Maynard.
You've watched
get
way
me off
more
the desk.
StarCraft than any of us. And you thought Serral wasn't going to scout that starport. Shame on you, Rotterdam.
Get this man out of there. Stasis would say I'm losing my caster license right
That's
now.
right. Give me your caster license. I'm handing it in. Give me your badge and gun. All right.
Well, let's see if SpeCial can still get some magic done. But like I said before, the Queens being in the wrong position, that doesn't seem that likely anymore all of a sudden.
Yeah, this drop's getting shot down pretty hard. The Queens are looking for it. And 2 Queens is more than enough to be able to shoot it back. I do like the armory coming down here for SpeCial. Like I said, Hellbat timings have been a weakness for Serral in the past. It was a long time ago, though, and Serral's only gotten better since then. And it's not like there's Banshees to follow up. There's no, tech lab here on the starport, and he's not surprising Serral by the fact that he's using the starport to try to be aggressive. So Serral knows that this is very, very likely a Liberator or a Viking.
That single little Zergling would have obviously loved to see what the second unit is, but it only makes sense that it's a Liberator. What else could it be, Maynard? Nobody goes double medevac here because you don't really have any use for that second medevac, so it kind of has to be a Lib. There are a couple of, or at least that Zergling is coming back. I don't know, it's just cruising around the map. Stim is being researched, Maynard, so we are seeing SpeCial at least do something a little bit different. There's a Spore Crawler in the right position. It's taking a lot of damage already, this Liberator. It's going to make up its mind. Maybe the back of the Natural. At the same time, the Hellbats. Oh, good splitting on the Hellbats instead, but the medevac is taking so much damage, and that's making it really hard. With more aliens on the right bottom side.
I like this attack at the third. Bit of distraction tactics there from SpeCial. Great moves from Serral, though.
Well, the Liberator showing up as well.
Yeah,
getting
3 kills.
Yep, getting something. I mean, I like that SpeCial's trying this, and I feel like the execution is good. Can the Liberator win this fight? I don't think it does. At best, it will be a double knockout. But there are Zerglings in the back of the Natural SpeCial, and that's so deadly. SpeCial finally finds himself a little bit of economic damage, and instead, well, during all of that, he faces even more at home.
Yeah, I mean, just seems like he can't seem to catch a break here against Serral, who's just been doing so well in the start of this game. Starport getting floated home, the float of shame from every proxy. So we got
it's 6 a.m. in the morning.
6 a.m. in the morning. It's like,
should have gone home earlier. Should have never gone out in the first place, you know that?
Starport now understands regret.
Another drop in the back of the main base. These Hellions could maybe just not morph into Hellbats and just dive into that middle line and see. I mean, yeah, exactly. They're faster like this. Maybe they can. Oh, okay.
I love that. The emergency Evo chamber saved him once before at the third base, saves him again in the main base.
Maynard, is this what perfection looks like?
I mean, is there a such thing as perfection in StarCraft 2? Probably.
They always said no, but...
They always said no, but... Yeah, this kid's a little bit too good. So SpeCial, what's the game plan here? It is going to be Bio. We are seeing Hydras as well, so Hydraling Bane from Serral.
Now, Serral's still on 3 hatches, but obviously his economy is looking mighty fine. This 30C for SpeCial is so late, considering how everything has gone so far. This game, he did kind of do what I said I wished he would do in the beginning of Game 3, you know, just a little crazier, a little more dedication to trying to find economic damage. And yeah, it worked out to some degree. Yes, he got a couple drones, but then the Ling run by on the other side of the map is just so deadly. That's just not a phase in the game where Terran can afford to lose those 7 SCVs and that lost mining time. The overseas scouting is on point. And of course, I mean, Serral scouting the starport early on was a bit unfortunate as well.
And he knows he's up against Bio Tank here. Some Hellbats still available from earlier. Marines with Stim, Combat Shield, and a bunch of Hellbats around them is actually extremely deadly to the current army of Serral, provided Banelings, of course, don't connect as well as they have been connecting historically in the series so far. SpeCial moving out on the edge of the creep here, looking to try and hurt that 4th base, maybe force a cancel. Maybe at least getting some Queen kills would be nice.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there is Baneling speed, so you got to be very, very careful. But if you stay on the edge of creep, then you can still say, like, maybe there is something possible here for SpeCial. Army-wise, it is dead, even on both sides. More links just being annoying. Serral, stop it. Let the man mine. Let him at least play a strategy for a little bit. The Queens are here. They have plenty of energy as well, so they can soak up a couple of tank shots. Where are medevacs, by the way? I don't see a single medevac with this push.
There's just 2 medevacs there at the north side here. And Serral tries to go for a flank. SpeCial a lot more prepared for it this time. Getting a few Banelings for free, very nice.
Indeed, those medevacs just came in there in the right time. And he's starting to do some serious damage on this port base. Queens are going to try to save it. Hellbat's still very scary, of course, with these Lings and Banes.
Yeah, Serral not overextending, but neither is SpeCial, and he's got room to breathe. Serral's going to give up the 4th base, and that's a lovely bit of damage here to SpeCial.
Yeah, but he does have another 4th base, so that's the one thing, right? This is something a lot of Zerg players did for a while after they had a great start. You just take your 4th and your 5th at the same time, and even if you end up losing one of them, you have the other one to fall back on, and as long as you've got the 4 hatches, Zerg is always going to be okay. Serral just runs into this army with his Lings and Banes, cleans up the majority of these forces, even grabs the siege tank as well. There are Banes on the other side of the map, but SpeCial ready for it this time.
Yeah, he stops the harassment. The Ling run by in the natural doesn't work either, so Serral is finding SpeCial to be a little bit more of a challenge here now that SpeCial's starting to sort of get his head in the game. And oh, he actually started an Infestation Pit and cancelled it, I think. Or did it finish?
Yep, no, it finished.
It finished,
Yep.
all right. So Hive time shortly enough for Serral.
2-2 upgrades, of course, on the way. Once again, we are going to see Drilling Claws. But hey, look at the big difference, right, between Port Alexander and this game. Last game, Drilling Claws was on the way. Oh, it's 2 Banelings are looking for some good connections, but SpeCial will take care of it. SpeCial's also pushing, by the way, Maynard, over here at this fort base. This is a dangerous game. He's on creep. There are plenty of Lings and Banes available. But, you know, last game he was getting Drilling Claws. Vipers were on the production tab. Now Hive Tech only just started.
Yeah, it was a couple minutes earlier for that Hive for Serral. SpeCial ferrying into the main base with quite a few Marines here. Some pretty important structures that could potentially be picked off. Serral comes forward with his Lings and Banes. Mainly just Lings at the moment, which Marines are more than happy to see.
Yeah, but even in upgrades, right? So even then you got to be careful. A couple of those Marines were missed rally. There are still 2 tanks here, but you don't really want to lose these 2 tanks. Even though he is going for Widow Mines, and maybe he feels like the time of the tank is gone, but it's still kind of a painful loss.
Yeah, those 2 tanks do go down. Lots of Hydraling Bane here. SpeCial going back into the main base, though, and Serral doesn't have tons of units at home. He's got some of those Lings.
Yeah, a lot of units.
Hive under a lot of pressure.
Well, that would be one hell of a pickoff. Serral is actually just going to inject it. Feels like he can fight it for now with the Zerglings, and he was right as Serral pushes those units away. There was a Hydra on the mix as well, helping out there a little bit. Serral +2 melee already done. +2 armor is on the way, of course, as well. He's getting 2 swarm hulls. What's that about, Maney?
Might be an accident. The Baneling's not an accident, though. Catching those SCVs doing so much damage. Oh, 14 SCVs and even some Marines dying there. How are these run-bys so powerful and doing so much damage?
Serral's rich. Serral's very, very rich. He's on 83 drones, and he's just looking for opportunity after opportunity. There are Vipers on the way now once again. He's getting more Banelings. He's getting Adrenal Glands. +3 melee already on the way. These medevacs, nope, you are not welcome here. Not in this Zerg main base with Lings and Banes waiting for them. Serral is playing a very, very clean game.
Generally, at this point, the Terran has a good amount of army supply. Their upgrades are ahead of the Zerg, and they're putting pressure somewhere on the map. But at the moment, SpeCial is just looking for anything.
And he does feel like this is that phase in the game where he needs that something, Maynard. He really needs to do something. Otherwise, we are looking at Serral winning his 5th WCS circuit event, and that's as silly as it sounds, but he seems like he's doing it because he's mining off 5 bases now. This is SpeCial wants to go for the main base, but he flies into the Hydras.
Oh, man. Things starting to go bad for worse for SpeCial, starting to lose a lot of his composure. And he needs it to be able to fight Serral. He needs every single iota of energy he has of StarCraft goodness to be able to win against this player. He is so confident getting off creep here with those Banelings pushing the Terran all the way back. Good connection with that Baneling as well. There's 3 or 4 Marines there.
Yep, getting a couple of good connections this deep. There are Vipers now in the mix as well. I'm not sure if Serral is really aware of the fact that there are Widow Mines with Drilling Claws in the mix. Can those Widow Mines get some good connections? If he goes through that choke point, they absolutely can. Serral's going for another run by. Did you leave a couple of units behind this time, SpeCial? There's a tank. Oh.
Yeah, certainly is. Gets a depot. So, a nice defense there for SpeCial. I mean, he could potentially take a good engagement here, but the Vipers really do complicate things, and they have a lot of energy.
Yes, they do. So they can also abduct the medevacs, right? That would be very painful. Those are pretty expensive units as well, and that means that you can't stim forever. It could just be a blinding cloud, and that's what's going to be for now, forcing SpeCial to micro those units to the side. So far, so good for SpeCial, though. He's keeping a lot of the units alive, but he's stimming a lot, Maynard.
He certainly is. Serral coming up for a flank here with those Lings, but Serral doesn't manage to get the big surrounds there on the bio. Overextending a little bit, I think, because he's looking at a drop here in the back of his natural. Oh, those blinding clouds still so good. The Widow Mine's thinning out a bit of the Zerg forces. SpeCial might be able to hold here with reinforcements.
It's just a couple of Hydras left. The Widow Mines are being brought back as well. SpeCial defense keeps his fort base alive. That's an orbital, by the way, on the fort base. So SpeCial playing 4 orbitals. Maybe just feelings like, you know what, if I make a planetary now, this game is not going my way. I need that extra income. It's a bit greedy, but I do not hate it. It's like, all right, you know, this is it anyway. You may as well.
Now, that was a nice trade there for SpeCial, but he needs more than a nice trade to be able to beat Serral here. Serral is still in a very strong spot, and like Roddy's mentioned a couple times, he is rich. He's balling out of control with his bank. He's got 11 Banes on the way, Tier 3 about to kick in full gear for the Zerg. Nidus, Ultra Cavern, we're going to be seeing Carapace shortly enough. I like this from SpeCial though, drilling Claw, Widowmine's harassment.
Well, they'll get a little bit.
Okay.
Get a lot of Zerglings there in the end as well, but it's still 4 Widowmines, and his medevac seems like it's going down. We just need some magical Widowmine connections for SpeCial. That is truly what he needs to turn this game upside down. Serral's not maxed out, by the way. He's getting a Nidus network now as well. Maybe he's just loving this grand final. He's got plenty of money to potentially max out. I believe that he's got the Ultra Cavern too. Yes, he does, because he's getting Chitinous Plating. Just wants to win with those Niduses, Maynard.
I think I saw Serral do this as well, getting the Nidus Worm in earlier games. He never really used it, but he just sort of had it there when he got his Hive and his Ultras down.
He's getting 9 more drones during all of this. He's like, yeah, I know I've got 6 bases and I've got a gold, but few more drones will never hurt. The Widowmines do go down. The Banelings blow up the majority of them. Ultras are on the way now.
Serral is just too damn powerful. SpeCial runs out of steam, and Serral is going to flawless victory his way to another grand final victory, his 5th WCS championship.
I don't know what other words we could use to praise this man, but we should go ahead and find them because he deserves it. Serral wins once again.
Serral is your WCS Spring Champion. What a god!
Cybersport Arena has been chanting your name, Serral, and for good reason. You are the WCS Spring Champion, and not only is this the first trophy that you're lifting this year, this is your 5th WCS title. That is a phenomenal achievement.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. It's incredible to be winning again, and coming here necessarily didn't expect to win, but I know, I feel as strong as last year now.
And it was such a convincing victory as well. 4-0, taking down SpeCial, one of the best Terrans that we have. Did you expect it to be as straightforward as it was?
No, not at all. I think the first 2 games could have went both ways very easily. I think he lost his army a couple of times, and the game was still very close. So I think those games could have went either way. But another third game, I got a bit unlucky. I got my Ling in, and same for the 4th game. There's some things, I think a lot of things could have went differently, and it could have been a lot closer, and should have been a lot more closer, but this time it went this way, and I don't mind it.
Definitely not at all. And I know you just talked about your 2018 form. A lot of people were curious if you could continue that in 2019 or not, but you're starting off great. You have another WCS title under your belt. Can this continue? Can 2019 be another year for Serral?
I mean, I have said it multiple times, winning tournaments was unlikely, but everything's possible. I don't think anyone ever has any tournament over 50% chance of winning, but I'll try to win them out.
Last but not least, any words for the fans here?
Yeah, the crowd has been great. Thanks for all the support, and yep, just a great crowd. Thanks.
Give it up for your 5-time WCS champion. It is Serral.